Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining. And I am, I may be flying solo tonight. Lisa is not sure if she's going to make panel or not, but she said that she will at least be in the chat. So let me bring up my stuff so we can get this going. How is everyone? And let's see. Bring up. I am just bringing up Lisa's chat and my chat. Make sure that I get everybody's comments. I know I see them all in StreamYards anyway, but you know. Just going to wait for a few people to get in here and then I will move on. So tonight we are, God damn it, nothing ever works appropriately, Every time you try to do something, it just doesn't work. Just trying to get the both chat. Hello, Fluffy. How are you?
What are you trying to do?
Oh, I was just trying to get my chat straightened out.
Just pick one. It'll be fine. How you doing, Doris?
And now I got them straightened out.
Oh, it was your glasses that got them all crooked, was it?
Oh, yeah.
As soon as you straighten your glasses, oh, my chat's all straightened out. You look
Hello,
very lovely
Seth.
tonight, Doris.
Thank
What's
you,
the
thank you.
occasion?
Yeah, I figured I would, seeing how my mug was probably going to be the only one up here they were looking at, I might as well
Oh no, by all
get.
means, I think that's right. We should make sure your mug's the only one so everyone looks at your mug. Okay.
Thank you, thank you. B Wizzle, hello. Seth, hello. How you doing?
Okay. So what's the subject for today?
So today we're going to finish up on the Adrian Jones case. And we already covered the majority of the abuse that he went through. So we are covering DCF and the legal ramifications because there was really no trial. Both the father and the stepmother pled guilty.
Hey, Jason.
Uh, but yeah.
All right, and what? So we're going to then basically do a summary of opinions or findings or
Yeah,
conclusions.
I was going to just start off once people got in here with just kind of summarizing what we've covered. And there's the beautiful Lisa in chat. And Lisa will be able to help me answer some questions because she's got all the information. But yeah, I'm going to try and unplug my headphones and replug them in because I'm getting a
Yes,
really
please.
bad echo.
Yeah, all right.
So give me one
Let me
second.
just have a word to. Sorry, Lisa. You really don't want to. Um, can you please at least do me a favour and come up on panel, even if you don't talk too much or have too much to say, but at least your presence being here would help out a hell of a lot. Even though we know you're not feeling 100%. But we're quite happy for you just to be like me, a participant who hear occasionally mentioning
A
stuff. I'm sure
participant.
Doris has got this totally under control and she knows exactly what she wants to do today.
I do. I was actually going to plan on talking a little bit, showing some clips of some news broadcast that I had found that mostly covers the DCF part of it. And they interview a former DCF director who worked for the Kansas City uh, DCF shortly before Adrian died. She quit because of the policies that they had in place and how they basically had um, them shred anything in writing. So if they got notes or anything like that, they were told by the lawyer for the DCF agency to shred the note after they spoke to the person because she wanted nothing in writing, especially in cases that involved a death or a mistake by the department.
All right.
And she said
So,
that she couldn't deal with that anymore, so that's why she left.
sounds like a definite cover up.
Right, and that's what she said. She was like, I just felt like they were always trying to cover up um, any mistakes that may have been made or oversights or anything like that.
Hold on. Hello, beautiful.
No.
Hello, Lisa.
I know you don't feel beautiful and you probably don't look beautiful right now, but hi.
Hi.
There you go. So,
All right. So, and then I have a song that I was going to play. I thought of playing it at the beginning, but I can't watch the video without crying. So I thought it would probably be better off playing at the end of the stream. It's just like a little, kind of like what we did. I think we did it for Gabriel. We played a song that was kind of went through pictures of him and things like that. And it's just like a little tribute song that they had done, that someone had done for him, for Adrian.
okay. So,
Oh my
yeah,
God,
did you want to
Mike.
start this?
Yes. All right. So, as most of you know, Adrian Jones is a case that we've been covering. He was a little boy who lived in Kansas and Missouri. At the age of 2.5, he was removed from his mother's custody because she left her children home alone. So her and Adrian's biological father separated, and upon the separation, they removed Adrian and 3 siblings from her custody and gave them to the father. Mike, dear God. So then, for until he was age 7, there were approximately 10 different calls made just to Kansas about abuse that was both witnessed and heard verbally, and concerns for Adrian and his siblings' safety in Heather Jones and Michael Jones's custody. And supposedly the child welfare agency had gone to the house and had investigated, and every report said that the allegations were unfounded and that Adrian could stay in the house along with the other 2 biological siblings. Heather had children of her own, and apparently, during one of the times that Adrian complained to DCF about the abuse before they moved across state lines, they took Heather's biological son away from her because she was deemed the primary abuser. Apparently, according to the file, a safety plan was
Hold
put
on one
into
second, Doris. Hold on. Hold on.
ish.
Mike. This was no violent video game. Okay? This was no wild video game. What this little boy went through was Nothing more than fucking torture. It wasn't a video game. This is serious. This boy was murdered. He was tortured and then fed to fucking pigs. It was not a video game.
Even though,
Mm.
saying that point, what was going through their mind may have been that they were playing a stupid video game, not realizing the consequences of what they were doing, and they needed to be mentally checked out.
No, they
But
knew that in their mind, we already shown proof that in their mind, they documented it. She spoke about it on her Facebook. She was proud of the abuse she put this boy through. So they are crazy nonetheless, but they knew exactly what they were doing. It wasn't, I don't believe they were thinking of a video game. They knew they just did not like this little boy. Sorry, Doris, go on. At it.
That's okay. And so they took Heather's biological son from her. According to her, when she was asked after she was arrested why she hated Adrian, she said that was the reason, that she no longer had her biological son because of Adrian's complaints of abuse. Even though right from the beginning she was deemed to be unsafe for the children to be in charge of or to be with the children. And the father refused to go along with DCF's plan of her not having any contact with the children. That was the safety plan that Kansas wanted to put into effect, was that she was to move out of the home and that she was going to have no contact with the children. Unfortunately, of course, every time they interviewed him, he would say, "Yep, nope, she doesn't live here, and I just won't sign the plan." Every time they interviewed the children, they interviewed them in front of Michael Jones, and they would go along with his story of how they never saw her. She wasn't anywhere around them. She didn't live with them, even though the whole entire time she lived in the home and continued to live in the home.
No, Mike. The way we are honoring him is by telling his story and bringing light that the people that are meant to be here to protect these children, these agencies are not doing their job. That's why we are telling these children's stories.
see, people, Lisa's not feeling so good, but don't be pissing her off when she is.
Hey, Lisa Lozano. Hello, Ability Moms.
If this was your family member or one of your children or a nephew, a niece, whatever, and this happened to them, and the people that was called to help protect this child did not do their job, you'd be pissed off too, and you would want something to be done about it too. That's why we're telling the story. So if you paid attention more, Mr. King, you will know that's why we do these stories. Go on, Doris.
All right. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play some of the videos that I have. So, hold on one second.
Oh, please. And Doris, you look beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
Mhm.
And Lisa, there's cleavage.
I
There is
see that.
cleavage. There is, which is Jimmy's idea was the necklace. He was like, at least put something on your chest.
Oh, it's not. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's not so funny when it's his wife, but it's when it's just us females. It's all good. It's all good. Well, they are asking for their children's stories to be told, and for Gabriel,
Lisa,
and for the
you're missing
Gabriel.
the entire point. Cleavage.
Hold on, Mike. We're not doing nothing to piss them off because these families all have come together to try to get the Gabriel law passed. So stuff like this does not happen anymore.
And Mike, also, one of the family's wishes is right now, unfortunately, Adrian Jones is known as the boy fed to pigs. No one knows him as Adrian Jones. They know him as the boy that was fed to pigs.
And in some circles, they call him the pig boy.
And in one of the interviews done, they are suing both cities along with DCF, and they're releasing interviews with news because they want him to be known by his name, not by Pig Boy or the boy fed to pigs.
So again, when we do stuff like this, we are extremely careful on what children we talk about. And we also make sure that these families are already talking about it and want the children's stories being told. If they don't want it being told and they don't have the stories out of these children, those are the children we don't talk about out of respect for the family.
All right, Mike, so go watch that video. Thank you for coming by. Bye.
Bye, Mike. Thank you. Much
All
love,
right,
brother. I love
so
you.
this is one of the videos of where they're covering. There's two separate parts. It's called The Untold Story of Adrian the Boy Fed to Pigs. Here we go. I need to.
Yes, but that's not his name, Mike. His name is Adrian, not the boy that was fed to pigs or pig boy.
Yes, but in the same argument, Mike, if being fed to pigs is the important part of this whole story, then it should be at least be Adrian, the boy who was fed to pigs. He's definitely got a name, and it's not Pig Boy.
Thank you, B Wizzle.
Thank you, B Wizzle. Greatly appreciate it.
Doris,
Yes.
we're all waiting.
And this isn't just about this little boy being disrespected like that, Mike. Let me clear this up. If something tragic happened to you and you were only referred to and your name was only called by what happened to you, I would be just as pissed off and I would be correcting and saying, no, his name was Mike. It's it's just respect. That's all.
And yes, uh, correct. The more we talk about it, the more that people are aware of it, the more the story gets out, and the more um, people take notice when departments that should be doing certain things are not doing certain things. The more newsworthy it becomes because the public's more interested in it, and the more the governments are then pressured to improve their departments that are getting the bad publicity. No government wants bad publicity. They all want good publicity, and they do their best to do that. So if we can give them bad publicity in this respect, the ones who have stuffed up may actually change the way they do things.
And yes, Anthony, I do think that that is a big part of this is incompetence or neglect on the side of DCF or DIFUS, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, and the
And,
fact that there were cover-ups, obviously
Right.
known and documented cover-ups
mhm.
that are happening, even though they are only people's reports of what they were told to do and what was supposed to have happened, and hearsay and so forth and so on. The fact that there were errors and children are dying because of the neglect of people who are paid to stop that kind of thing from happening within the services and the society which we live is scary and worrisome, because if you ever get yourself put into a situation where you will rely on these departments and you know that this is the type of thing that happen, you concern yourself against
And
looking
Anthony,
for
I
their
don't
help.
I don't think it was just incompetence. I do think it was partially that. But I think it was a lack of people caring. I think they just thought about themselves. They didn't want to be bothered. And the fact of the matter is, yes, it is true that a lot of times they do have a tremendous caseload. I get that. But at the same time, when you are seeing this and you know this is happening and you still overlook it just because you don't want to be bothered, that is a problem. You take on this job to serve and protect. Oops, sorry. And that's what you should be doing. So it wasn't just incompetence. It's just they just didn't care. They just didn't want to be bothered. That's my
Righty.
opinion. And it's not just Adrian. It's every child we covered. Gabriel, Noah, all of them, all of them. It's the
It's
same
it's
story.
it's not only that. If the departments aren't going to work together to at least prevent things like this happening when it happens within family units, what are they doing to prevent it from happening within foster care units and within um, organisations whose whole ideal in life is to abuse and use children in ways that we just couldn't dread to think about? And if the departments can't handle it in the reality of normal family life, they're going to completely fail when it comes to all those kids who are being trafficked and sex trafficking and all that kind of stuff that should not be happening in general anyway.
That's right. That's right, Alexa. And an oath. It's an oath you take. You know, it happens everywhere. It's not just one. It's all of it. That's why we specifically when we first started was talking about California because they have three of the top worst cases, and then there's Adrian. So it's and there's more. You know. So and I just want to say this one last time. These streams and these topics of these children aren't going away. So if you're gonna come in and be disrespectful and bash us every time, then please don't come to these
Oh
streams.
no,
Come
no,
to our
no, I
regular
disagree.
streams.
If you're going to come in here and abuse us and bash us and give us shit and tell everybody how much dickheads we are for saying all this, all the better. Which means you are listening. Which means we are annoying the bejesus out of you enough for you to come in here and be nasty and whatever. At least someone's paying attention to us. If nobody's going to come into the stream, that's not what the whole idea of this is all about. The whole idea is to get people thinking and talking and have it in their mind that this is happening and that we should be at least talking about it, whether it's a good talking or bad talking. It's talking, and the more you talk about something, the more people who give a shit will be listening about that stuff.
Or
And
maybe it's striking a nerve or memory or something, and that's why you lashed out on the chat. That could be that
Exactly.
too.
and
And
Anthony, I agree to a point, but according to the state of California, they have already done those things. And to this day, there are still children dying in the state of California that are under their Child Protective Services Department. So it more needs what needs to happen is these departments nationwide in every state need to communicate. That's what that's the biggest part of Adrian's case. His parents moved across state lines multiple times to avoid being investigated or to drop the case when they thought the kids were going to be taken away.
Yep.
And the
And that's
state
why
did
we
not
asked.
communicate this.
That's why we ask our audience over and over and over and over again to get this message out about Gabriel's Law. We have dropped the link. They're explaining you the Gabriel Law. Don't make it just a California thing. Make it a worldwide thing. Because Gabriel's Law was passed, none of this would be happening. Adrian's parents could not move from state to state to state and get away with what they've done. Because with Gabriel's Law, they would still be on the list. There would be
it's
no avoiding.
It's not only that, folks. At least let's get it into California. Once it's in California, then let's get it in Nevada, and then once it's in Nevada, let's get it into Oregon, and once it's in Oregon, let's get it into Washington, and let's slowly but surely move this law to be standard issue right across the globe. And if it takes one step at a time to do it, I'm quite willing to keep annoying the bejesus out of you with this. How about you, Lisa?
I'm fine. Doris, play your video now that we kept on doing things.
All right, so here comes the video. Like I said, it's two parts. It's two different news reports that this news station did to cover this case.
Which news station was this?
Child abuse case so disturbing it grabbed national headlines.
Now, 41 Action News digs deeper and gets answers about what happened to Adrian Jones.
Investigator Jessica McMaster now uncovered exclusive evidence to tell us about tonight. Jessica.
Adrian's dad and stepmom abused him for months. Now we are getting answers as to how this went undetected. While these images are graphic, we believe to get the answers Adrian deserves, they need to be seen.
He was just a typical little boy, just full of life. He always told me he was going to play football when he got older.
Type the name Adrian Jones into an online search, and this is what you'll see, fed to pigs.
He was just always happy.
But to Judy Conway, Adrian was her grandson, a little boy with wonderment in his eyes and a smile, she says, brighter than the sun.
He just had the most amazing smile. His whole face smiled when he smiled.
Why are you doing that?
I keep on getting cold when I'm out here.
But Adrian's smile soon faded. Never before seen video takes us inside Adrian's last moments.
And you can see the look of nothing in his eyes. It's such a stretch from who I know him as and what they made him into.
In what prosecutors call the most heinous crime they've ever seen, Adrian's story made national headlines. Still, for the past year and a half, what exactly went on inside this home tucked away in rural KCK has remained a mystery. Until now.
I have a lot of sleepless nights now.
Jen Hoovers, the Joneses' former landlord, is one of the few people who knows exactly what happened to Adrian. After the couple's arrests, Hoover says Heather gave her access to her iCloud account.
Well, she wanted me to get in and save pictures of her kids.
But instead, she found gruesome images.
As soon as I opened iCloud, I saw pictures of Adrian and his abuse.
The haunting footage lives in Hoover's memory and in a file on her computer labeled House of Horror. Hoovers took the evidence to police, then to Adrian's grandmother. She's now sharing it with us. The click of a mouse shows a household under constant surveillance, cameras in every room. Mike and Heather watching Adrian's every move, even photographing his abuse.
Every angle, pictures of his body and how bad he was in the last few weeks.
The abuse began with Adrian standing for hours at a time with his hands in the air, but quickly escalates.
They'd strap him to inversion tables or make him stand outside all night or in the cold, holding tiki torches. Why are you doing that?
Because I keep on getting cold when I'm out here.
So you eat out of the trash because you keep on getting cold because you're outside?
In this video, you can hear Heather's harsh
sense?
words towards Adrian and a lack of compassion for a desperate little boy. From a seemingly healthy Adrian to an extremely thin 7-year-old. The last days and hours of Adrian's life spent stripped and confined to a shower stall, left outside overnight to stand in a filthy pool. What should be a safe place for a child, Adrian's home, became a prison. The little boy often placed in handcuffs and left in the backyard.
A lot of swelling from being strapped to the inversion table and handcuffed to the wall, and a lot of scratches and stuff from probably trying to get it out.
Each heartbreaking photo and video time-stamped.
And how long did this go on?
From what I could see, about 9 months.
Isolated from the rest of the world under the guise of homeschooling, Adrian died alone, strapped to a chair in the shower. His parents disposing of his body in a livestock pen. Michael and Heather Jones facing life in prison.
I go to bed thinking about it. I wake up thinking about it.
The Christmas before Adrian's death stands out in Conway's memory. It's the last time she saw him.
And I told him that I loved him and that I would always be there for him and I'd always keep him safe.
Those words now a painful reminder of a promise she couldn't keep.
You know, how many times did he say to himself, where's my Nana? And when's she going to come and get me? You know, And that just broke my heart to think, that he left this world feeling so unloved. And he was loved.
Adrian's grandmother says she tried to see the kids, but that Mike and Heather wouldn't let her. She also says she contacted the state twice, but didn't get any help. 41 Action News and Conway tried to get Adrian's file, but they denied our requests. Now Adrian's mother wants your help. She created a petition to get that file released. To sign it, head to our website. And tomorrow we're going to talk to a former employee of the Department of Children and Families who tells us that the agency allowed Adrian to fall through the cracks.
Well, and one of my Facebook friends posted, and I think this is a really important comment, as uncomfortable and horrible as it is for us to see all of those images, he had to live through it. So it's important for us to see it. Thank you.
And the horrific images, and then you turn to rage, and you're going to get into more about that tomorrow night. I mean, somebody needs to be held accountable for why somebody else didn't step in here.
We are, and that's the whole point. More needs to be done.
Exposing the untold story of Adrian Jones, a boy abused to death by his own parents.
Tonight, in a 41 Action News exclusive, we have learned that the state may have let his case slip through the cracks.
Investigator Jessica McMaster dug deeper to find out if the state failed the 7-year-old. Jess?
Adrian's grandmother says in the months leading up to his death, she contacted the state. Now a former employee of Child Services is coming forward for the first time about the issues within the department she says are putting children at risk.
The images are sickening, disturbing, shocking. 7-year-old Adrian Jones, abused and eventually murdered. With Adrian's dad and stepmom now locked away. Why didn't the state step in after several people say they called in warnings?
So he fell through the cracks.
He fell through. Yes, I believe so.
It haunts Adrian's grandmother, Judy Conway.
I've always tried to be there for my grandkids.
Every moment of every day.
Trying to figure out exactly what happened and how the system failed him.
The system, Kansas Department for Children and Families, an agency designed to protect children. Conway says she contacted them in the months leading up to Adrian's death after the Joneses cut off contact.
I really truly believe that there's been numerous calls made to DCF.
After Adrian died, several people came forward telling the 41 Action News investigators they did contact DCF.
Child Services was involved several times.
This woman did not want to show her face. She tells us she witnessed Adrian's stepmom forcing him to stand for hours with his hands above his head.
Yes.
But Adrian's grandmother can't prove any of it. DCF won't give her Adrian's file, a file they've confirmed exists.
That has just blown my mind, made me really terribly angry.
How many times was the agency called? Were any of those calls followed up on? Did a social worker ever visit the home and see little Adrian like this?
We need to know those things.
The 41 Action News investigators made several attempts to get Adrian's file. Each one denied, told the court sealed Adrian's records. So we asked DCF for the number of hotline calls made to the home. Denied, telling us they don't track by address. We wanted to talk to Secretary of DCF, Phyllis Gilmore, about how Adrian's horrific abuse went undetected. That request denied.
It's unconscionable.
A former deputy director for DCF, Diane Keach, agreed to speak with us. She says after nearly 2 years on the job, she quit because of how the department handles cases like Adrian's.
I have personally reviewed numerous deaths in Kansas where we missed it.
Keach says the bigger problem is that the agency tries to cover it up.
She did not feel like we should document anything related to a child death.
Keach says she was constantly directed by the attorney for DCF to avoid a paper trail after mistakes were made.
She wanted to only have verbal conversations over the phone. If we took handwritten notes, we were instructed to shred them afterwards. I was outraged at the time, and I just felt like there was just no way I was going to be able to bring any change.
The 41 Action News investigators made another request to meet with the secretary, this time about Keach's claims. Our request denied. Kansas's disclosure law, passed in 2004, states that after a child's death, information shall become a matter of public record. But the 41 Action News investigators have uncovered of 15 requests for information from the media when it comes to cases like Adrian's. Only 2 have been fulfilled since the law was enacted.
Is there any good reason why this information isn't being released to the public that you can think of in your mind?
Only to protect the system, not to protect kids.
Keach left the department just before Adrian's death.
I have had conversations with people inside the system that they were devastated at his death because they had a history with him.
So he fell through the cracks.
He fell through. Yes, I believe so.
For Adrian's grandmother, she waits for answers, waits for closure.
We live in pain and agony every day, wondering, what could have been done.
DCF sent us an email denying that employee's claims. In 2012, Adrian and his siblings were removed from their mother's care. Adrian's grandmother wanted custody, but the state gave custody to Adrian's father. While she waits for Adrian's files, she wonders how differently Adrian's life would have turned out had she got custody. I'm investigator Jessica McMaster, 41 Action News.
Jess, thank you. Our investigation uncovered exactly what happened in the days leading up to Adrian's death. And for all of that,
Hello, everybody that's joined chat. Hello.
Sorry, guys. But yeah, so that was just some coverage that I had found on the DCF aspect of it. Both the stepmother and the father ended up pleading guilty. The only reason that it was ever found out that Adrian was missing and then dead was because on Thanksgiving Day, Michael, his father, shot a gun at his wife while she was holding her baby. She called the police, and when they were questioning her, they noticed all the cameras. She told them to go look in the pig enclosure and that they should be able to find some remains of Adrian. And that was the only reason that they ended up finding anything about Adrian being killed. It came out that the family had actually had plans to move again, and their plan was that no one would ever know that anything was wrong with Adrian. They would go somewhere where Adrian wasn't known, so the new people around them wouldn't know there was another child, and they would just keep refusing to let Adrian's family see any of the children. There were reports that when they interviewed the other children, they talked about how Heather would choke Adrian because at the age of 3, he would pee on the floor. I'm assuming he was being potty trained at the time. And they said that they could hear him physically being choked. And at one point, when he was locked in the shower stall, they heard him scream up through the vent, "I'm going to die." Now, mind you, this was, I believe, 2 weeks before his actual death. And Heather told him to suck it up. And they had kept Adrian in that shower stall that they showed in the video and that we showed you pictures of. And they ended up leaving him in there. And when he got to the point where he could not stand, they sat him in a chair. When he did not have the strength to sit up straight, they tied him to the chair. And that is where Adrian ended up dying, was strapped to a chair in that shower stall. And according to the reports, they kept him there for 2 weeks after his death. That is when they went out and bought the pigs. The person that owned the pigs were told that they were being part of a farm that they already had, and that the animals were being used for a homeschooling project. And that is how they got the pigs off of the farmer who sold them to them. And apparently, whenever the neighbors would ask about Adrian, his father would tell them that he was in a mental facility. And that's why he wasn't around.
Is there any questions from the chat besides the anger I see?
Right, Alexis. That's what got me, that was the only reason she told them about Adrian. Hello, Mr. J. How are you?
Hello, Mr. J. And yes, Alexa. Alexis. I keep wanting to call you the. This is the reason. I'm gonna put a link in the chat. While we give the chat a minute to think of questions or comments they may want to add to this of the next child we're gonna talk about. His name is Jordan Rodriguez. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. He's from Cleveland. He's a disabled little boy who, when he was born and got older, was not able to speak. And he was murdered by his mother and her boyfriend and was buried in their backyard. The only reason why they found out this little boy was murdered and was buried in the backyard was because the mother's boyfriend talked to his brother, who was in the military across seas, and he made an international phone call to the Cleveland police and told them what his brother told them. The difference in this story is with Jordan is that Child Protection Services failed yet again, but the police did not. This is one of the stories me and Doris told you, that we will shed light on the stream on the police in a different way, not in a bad way like these other children. This is one of the stories where these police officers did their job and went above and beyond doing their job. I'm glad you've been following all the streams, Angry Vamp. That's greatly appreciated. Me and Doris put a lot of work into it, and these streams mean a lot to us.
The link I am putting in the chat right now is it's a lawsuit that the family has against both Kansas and Missouri. It's a wrongful death lawsuit, and it actually goes into detail about some of the reports that are in their paperwork of the times that they've gone to the house and what they saw. And you'll notice what I found disturbing was they would document bruising on Adrian, but at the end of every report they would say that he was safe and that he could stay in the home. Sorry, Lisa, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right. And when Angry Vamp, when I say someone did their job, I'm not talking about Child Protection Services. I'm not talking about DSS. I'm talking about law enforcement. In this case, the mother's, Adrian's, that's the mother's name, her caseworker went to prison with her because when they looked into it, they found out that the reason why she wasn't doing her home visits and checking in on these children like she was supposed to be is because the mother was paying her off with her food stamp card. So I said some did their job. law enforcement in this case did their job.
And Lisa, to answer your question, they both got 25 years to life. They did both plead guilty. And Mascot, his other biological siblings were right after his death taken from them. I believe they were put back with the mother. They are in intense counseling, understandably, but they both are alive.
The link I just put in chat is to the next trial we're doing in case people want to look it up before we begin it. I agree, Angry Vamp. I have mixed emotion about the death penalty only because a lot of people have been executed that was innocent and some should not have been executed. Due to, in my opinion, other factors. But in cases like this, I do agree. There should be a death penalty. And I'm not talking about an easy one like the gas chamber or lethal injection or the electric chair. I'm talking about they should be tortured and put to death like they did to their victims.
Yes.
But, that is not humane in our society. So, therefore, it don't happen.
Part of what bothers me about this case is Adrian and his siblings were removed from their mother's care. And I'm not saying it's right, but they were removed from their mother's care because they were left with their 15-year-old sister, and the mother went out. That was why they were taken from their mother. And if you go onto my page, I have a file, Adrian Jones. It shows all the videos that I've saved. In one of the videos, the grandmother says if they're going to take the kids for something that simple, why didn't they take them from the house when they saw the abuse?
And it's not just abuse. That house was fucking filthy.
Right. Like that yard.
It was disgusting.
You even saw the backyard, the pile of trash that was in the backyard. And in some of those videos that I have, they show the surveillance videos where they show Adrian outside for hours, handcuffed in the middle of the night for hours.
And I agree with all of you. Firing squad, all that. And here's my thing. Between what adults do to other adults and children. Adults, when they hurt someone or they kill someone or they commit a crime, they do it by choice. They have a choice. They choose whether they're going to do it or not do it. These babies, these children that are being murdered by the people that gave them life is different. These children wasn't asked to be brought into this world. These children wasn't asked to be put in these situations. And like Gabriel and a few others, then these children themselves asked for help. And they became invisible. So for them to be tortured and murdered like they have been is a whole different level. Because they don't have a choice. They wasn't asked to be brought into this world. Their parents chose. As parents, we choose to bring these children in this world. And if we feel we cannot give them what they need, then it is our responsibility for these children to give them up and let them go live somewhere else where they can have a future, where they can have a life and be happy. A lot of times these parents don't do that. and they keep them for money or for whatever reason. And I think in Adrian's case, it was just, and like with Gabriel, it was just the pure satisfaction of torturing this kid. They enjoyed it. It was, with Gabriel, I said, I think it was a sexual thing for his mother. I think it turned her on to see Gabriel be abused by her boyfriend. I don't think it was that for Adrian's father and stepmother. I think it was more just, and it was an amusement to them. It was pleasure in some other form.
And no, Christina, that's not what this case is about. And another thing that got me with this case was, and you'll see if you go to that link that I put in, the father and the stepmother asked the state to take Adrian multiple times. They claimed that he had mental health issues and he was apparently diagnosed with PTSD, and you wonder why.
Exactly.
But he spent 6 months in a facility in a treatment plan. And during that whole 6 months, the hospital said that he was a normal little boy and showed no signs of being behavioral problems unless the parents came to see him.
Right. And Fishing with Christina, that is the next case we're doing. That is the next little boy we're talking about. His name is Jordan. And it wasn't his dad that was in Iraq. It was his mother's boyfriend's brother that was in Iraq. His dad was deported to Mexico. And yes, hanging with Mr. J, they should have been protected, and they wasn't. That's the point of us telling these children's stories. Because up until the new little boy was starting, the Child Protection Services, DSS, the law enforcement, they did not protect these children like they should have. Absolutely, it's not hard to care, ban, be kind to others, especially. Yes, it's not hard to be kind to others. It's not. And another thing me and Doris promote over and over and over and over again is when people see things happen, when people see children being abused, it's not just an abuse. It could be a domestic violence situation with a woman or a man. We tend to turn our head and say, this ain't my business, I'm not getting into it. And then it continues, and tragically, children can lose their lives, men can lose their lives from us just turning our head and saying, this ain't my business. If more people got involved and legit saw abuse, not because you're angry at somebody or because you see a parent disciplining. There's a difference between a parent disciplining and abusing. That has to be cleared up too. Because a lot of times people confuse discipline from abuse.
In that Adrian folder that I have on my channel, there's some videos in there from the National Child Abuse Center that tells you how to tell if it's abuse or not. And all the videos, they provide a number, and they said if you're not sure, call the number and tell them anyway. Even if you don't know if it's abuse, let them be the ones to decide if it's abuse or if it's just discipline.
Right. And please, if you're going to make these phone calls, we advocate speaking out, helping. But if you're going to make these phone calls, make sure you're doing it because you are legit worried. I've had experiences in my own personal life where I do not abuse my kids. My children are not abused. They rarely get physically disciplined with a spanking or whatever. They usually get stuff taken away, they're put in a corner and time out. But I have had reports made on me just because a person didn't like me.
Yeah,
So I'm
like
not advocating that. What
no.
we're advocating is that you call with legit
Right.
concerns.
Like don't call on your neighbor because they pissed you off.
Right.
But if you're legitimately concerned that or worried that a child that you just saw walk by you or that came into your school, that was one of the problems with Adrian. They were homeschooled.
Right.
That was why only family members and neighbors would call, and the family members that called couldn't provide much information because the kids were cut off from them.
Right. And Alexis, you would think that that would be a given, but you know as well as I do, it's not. It's just not.
Right.
You know.
And same
And
thing, I've had friends who have had the same thing happen to them. DCF goes in the house because they got a complaint, and yeah, they usually it's unfounded, but it's a lot of aggravation for that person that you reported.
and not just the person you reported, the children too.
Right.
For an example, Angry Vamp said she has autistic children. Them coming in and questioning them as fast as and usually when they get an emergency call, they come with a cop. So for an autistic child or a child with Down syndrome or any other issues like that, it frightens them. It scares them. Even normal children. When it happened to me, it scared my children.
Which is
And
understandable. Even
yes,
adults get nervous when you're being questioned by police or someone you see as an authority figure. Imagine what it's like for a 5 or 6 year old child.
especially like Angry Vamp, she has autistic children, and children with Down syndrome like that, it's worse for them. It
Yep.
is.
They can't, some of them can't be touched, some of
Right.
them
Loud
don't.
noises. My son has ADD, my oldest son, and he doesn't do good with change, sudden change, and he doesn't handle loud noises very well. Unexpected, like I don't know how to explain it. So when stuff like that happens, he's upset for a while. He has a hard time sleeping. Yeah, I know, Angry Vamp. I get it. I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too angry. I mean, and sometimes with children, even if they're not abused, depending on the tone of the person that's asking the questions, they children most of the time are eager to please.
Right.
So they're going to say things because that person could be unintentionally asking questions where the child's just going to agree with them because they think that's what they want.
Right. And when you have police officers coming and teachers and stuff like that, they are put on a different standard. So if they're asking these children questions, there's a I don't know the right word. It's not fear, but in some of these children's mind, depending on where they grew up and who they grew up around, especially with police officers, they have the ability to take you away. They have the ability to put you to jail. So in these children's mind, if police officer comes in and they're asking questions, they're going to tell them, the police officers, what they think they want them to hear because they don't want to get in trouble because
Yep.
of and it has a lot to do with the body language and the tone. So it takes a real good investigator, a real good officer to see through that. And sometimes that don't happen.
Right.
You
Because
know?
look at Gabriel's case.
Right.
That police officer threatened to arrest Gabriel and put him in jail for lying.
And he wasn't lying.
He wasn't lying.
And there was numerous, if anyone, a lot of people was with us when we went through the Gabriel case. There was multiple people involved in that. Gabriel's teacher, there was officers brought in, even the child protective services caseworkers thought he was lying because that's how good Gabriel's mother was in convincing these people, except for the teacher, that everything was fine and Gabriel was making things up. So, there's a lot of factors that go into this. You know what I mean? So we just try to bring awareness to all of it, not just one particular aspect of this, all of it. They did fail him badly, just like they did with Adrian and Noah. Uh Noah was the boy. I'm sorry, my brain is mush right now. But there was two other boys. One right, like not even long after Gabriel, that was murdered by his parents that lived a few blocks from Gabriel's house.
Noah was a 4-year-old, and
Hmm.
Anthony was a 10-year-old.
Right. Noah died right after Gabriel, and had some of the same caseworkers as Gabriel. So did Anthony. Um, there's a lot. The only light I have for the next child is that actually the law enforcement did what they were supposed to do. And I said what's sad about Adrian is that, like Dora said, he was homeschooled, so there wasn't a teacher to advocate for him like Gabriel's teacher
Right.
or
And
Noah.
when Adrian was released from that hospital, they had informed DCF that there was a treatment plan that the parents were supposed to keep up with for Adrian's mental health concerns. Well, they didn't do that. And the hospital itself kept notifying DCF and telling them that Adrian was in danger if they didn't keep up with the treatment plan.
And Angry Vamp, me and Doris have talked about this many times as we talk about these children too. We feel that just like any first responders, the police, the firemen, the paramedics, even counselors, therapists, they have to, even the crime victim unit, the sexual crime victim unit, SVU, and the police departments, they all periodically get an evaluation, a psych evaluation. These need to happen with the child service workers too, because in Gabriel's case, there was a caseworker, the older lady. She just did not care. She was there for a paycheck. She and her supervisor too. He just did not care. And it could be just who they are, or it could be because after all the years of doing this, it got to them. We don't believe that's how it was with the older woman, the ex nun that left the convent. We just think that was her, because not only did other families complain about her personality, her demeanor, but so did her coworkers. So we think that was just how she is. It had nothing to do with what she saw with these children. But there needs to be a psych eval. They need to be evaluated. And if they can't handle this job, then they need to be let go. One of my other biggest pet peeves with the Gabriel case, and that's what I was trying to get to with Adrian not going to school, was yes, Gabriel's teacher did absolutely do everything she was supposed to do to help this little boy. However, the last day that Gabriel came to school, he was covered from head to toe with bruises, burns. He was messed up. At that point, I truly, truly believe that she should have said, fuck the union, fuck responsibility. She's a mother and a human being. I would not have let that little boy go home. I would have been willing to lose my job and let the union fight for me than let that little boy go back. And I would have called the police, because then at that point, a different social worker would have come in. And once Gabriel went to the hospital, they would not have let him go home. And then another social worker would have came in, and then the police department would have had no choice but to bring SVU in.
Right.
So then it opened up a whole nother can of worms.
That was the other thing with the hospital. The whole 6 months Adrian was there, they kept calling DCF because the father kept saying that when Adrian was done with the treatment plan, he didn't want to take Adrian home, and that Adrian would be better off living with the state because they couldn't handle him anymore. The hospital reported that to DCF, and DCF still sent him home with those same parents saying they could not handle him.
Exactly. I agree, Angie Vamp. I think the hospitals need more powers. I think, like with Gabriel's teacher, I truly think she would have kept him if she did not think her job was at risk. So I think something like that there needs to be more power there. If a child comes into school looking like Gabriel did, that teacher shouldn't worry about um losing her job to protect this child by any means necessary. Like to this day, she is emotionally distraught, and no other child in her class will get Gabriel's number. It took her a while to let a child sit in Gabriel's desk. So, and it was the same with Noah. Noah's teacher, she didn't go as far as Gabriel's teacher did, but she did try. Um, with
I
Anthony,
I think that part of this whole mandated reporter thing, which you probably know what that is, any emergency worker, school, hospital are mandated reporters for abuse. It should be under the same guidelines as the Good Samaritan law, that if you find someone that needs life-saving assistance and you help them, you can't be sued if anything happens to them because you tried to help them.
right.
It should be under that law. So that way, these people that are mandated reporters, or even people that aren't mandated reporters, and report these things, and something comes out that it's not true, maybe the child has a bleeding disorder or something and bruises easily, they can't turn around and sue that person for reporting the abuse because they were doing what they were supposed to be doing.
I agree, but I also think that there has to be something to stop the ones that have the hero complex. Meaning that in medical, ambulance, police, fire department, there is, and not all, but there is what is called the hero complex, where they have to be the hero. So they ignite fires to look like, I saved this individual, I saved this child. So I think that the union reps need to come in so it's not so easy to sue them, but at the same time, still have something there so the ones with the hero complex, you know what I'm talking about, right, Doris? Can't get away with doing what they're doing.
Right, because at that point, they're actually committing a crime if they're the
Exactly.
cause
Right.
of that, if they're
Right.
the cause of their reporting.
Right. Because you got to remember, in our day and age, the people that are even here to serve and protect, there are criminals amongst them too. You know, so
Yes.
you kind of can't give them too much leeway, but at the same time, have reinsurance for the people that are doing their job correctly, knowing that they can't be penalized for doing their job at the
And
same time.
hello, Kenneth. Thank you for popping in.
That goes in the garbage. Hello, Kenneth. Thank you.
Okay, you
Yes.
do know that the hour is up.
I was going to say, I am going to play the video that I picked for the tribute.
Oh, hold on.
But
Hot Wheel said DCF, and this is important because this is an actual worker. So this is what we've been waiting for. I know we're over it, but this is good shit. Hot Wheel said DCFS is a joke. I did 18 years and they lied to me till they cut me off. Fuck them.
But Hot Wheels, were you a child in DCF custody or were you a worker in DCF custody?
That's what I wanted
that
to
worked
get
for
into.
DCF.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get to before we go to your vid. Because if he was a worker, that could be someone we can have on panel to talk to.
Right. Or even a child, just to see
Right.
what a child may have to go through being.
Exactly. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm glad you saw the comment. Okay. So that's very interesting, Hot Wheels.
That is very interesting. I was born 3 times higher than my. Okay.
I mean, I'm sorry, I have to crack a joke. Shit, 3 times higher than his mum. Damn, it's all downhill from there.
So, Hot Wheels, let me ask you a question. And you don't have to. You can stay in chat. And or you can email me and Doris. And we can tell your story. But this is the stuff that me and Doris, when we started these streams, wanted to happen. People like you who lived it, instead of telling the children's stories that didn't make it through the crack system. We wanted to be able to hear stories from either people that worked for these agencies that know it's failing, or children that have been through what you've been through. So if you're willing to come on panel with us and discuss it, or just emailing me and Doris, or any social media, and we can tell your story for you, we would greatly appreciate it, because this is what we do it for. One of the reasons we do it. So people like you have a safe place, a comfortable place to tell your story and be able to vent.
And it gives you an opportunity to get your information out there, information people are probably nowhere near aware of. Yeah.
All right, hold on. I'm going to drop my Instagram link, Hot Wheels. And then you can... Doris, do you have Instagram?
I do.
You can drop yours too, and then whichever one he wants to talk to and get a hold of.
People don't even want to find out what my life was like.
And this is for anyone that has a story that they want to share. They're more than welcome, if they're comfortable with it, to share their story, if they can. Why can't I figure out how to do this?
Thank you, Angry Vamp. In Hot Wheels, if you don't want to be on camera, you don't have to be.
Yeah, look at me. I'm not on panel. Nobody can see me.
So people will still be able to hear you, but they won't be able to see you. But if you don't mind people knowing who you are or what you look like, that's fine too if you want to be on camera. My second son at one time was in foster care, and many things happened while he was there. It didn't fully come out until the foster father died. Yeah, Lisa, unfortunately, that happens a lot. I know my dad lived his life, or most of it, in foster care, and he too went through a lot of abuse during that time.
We can all see what Doris looks like, and isn't she gorgeous today? So beautiful.
Thanks.
And cleavage.
Yeah. And even though we asked him many times, he never gave us details on the stories. He would just tell us small bits. Yes, gamer, I'm going to board the Titanic right after the roundtable stream tonight.
It's because we've run out of stories to tell Gamer, and she wants to make up her own, okay?
Holy hell, I didn't think that was ever going to go. All right, so hold on. I got to go to your chat because he's in your chat. I just got confused.
Got confused.
Okay, that's my Instagram link I just put in chat. So
You could
any
have
one
done
of
it.
us, again, you don't have to be on camera.
Lisa, that
You
was the
could have
wrong
done it
chat.
on. You could have done it on the StreamYards, Lisa, and it would have went to both chats, so it didn't really matter
I'm on
where it
my
went.
phone. My phone don't give me an option to put it in chat.
Oh,
Wait,
hold
does
on.
it?
Give me a sec then. I'll just do this, and then it doesn't really matter what what thing it goes on. Seriously, that's the closest you got me to that. You sure you put the
Oh,
right link in?
oops.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Give
I
me a
was
sec.
trying to do it and kicked myself.
All right, hold on.
You don't even have Instagram in your what's name, Lisa.
I should.
It's not in your about.
Hold on, I'll go to the other chat too. I'll put them in both. There, I just put them in both.
Yeah, that's easy. I'll just do this and put it in one. Okay.
Hello, Susan. So I'm going to put the link to the next boy we're doing one more time. His name is Jordan Rodriguez.
Okay, so you now have your link in both Doris's and your chat that people can actually click on to get to you. The links you keep sending just tells everybody to sign up and then find me.
Yeah. Okay, well, I put the link of the little boy we're doing next in the chat. His name is Jordan Rodriguez. And if there's no other questions or comments, all right, I'll be right. I'll check it when we end the stream.
Oh, I see. I've sent you a request. And you haven't answered it. All right, thank you. Fair enough.
So, Doris, you ready to play your video?
I am.
Okay.
All right. Actually, let me make sure I pull it up. Pull it up. All right. Now I am ready. So this is the tribute video that I found for Adrian. And like I said, sorry if you cry, but I can barely watch it without crying. I don't know why, but
I'm not going to watch it. Hold, please.
You okay?
Yeah. I think part of what gets me is in one of the pictures where that one right there where he has the black eye. It says right underneath it, picture that police officer took. If you saw that boy and took that picture, how do you walk away from that
Mm-hmm.
after writing he's safe in the home?
Yep.
In that picture, he looks like he lost all will to live. And it just, but thank you all for joining us once again.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
And we will, I believe, do the regular roundtable stream.
Are you
Yeah,
doing a
I'm
regular roundtable stream tonight, Lisa?
not starting it. If somebody else wants to, because I know I'm not able to make it through a whole thing like I usually do on Fridays.
All right, I'll
Who's
have
doing
Jimmy
it for you?
start it on Zoom, or I can
Okay.
start it on StreamYards, whichever
It
one you
doesn't
want.
matter. It doesn't matter.
All right.
All right.
All right, so give us a couple of minutes, and then the regular roundtable stream will be going. You can come
All right.
visit us there.
See everybody
Okay,
soon.
then
Thank you, everyone. Yes, but
end the stream. We'll talk after.